How to construct a tonally regulated line? You follow the first rule. Maximum contrast between the two bisyllabic units in a single line. The step 1, you form two contrasting bisyllabic units, like level, level, oblique, oblique. The first bisyllabic unit is that of a level tone, indicated by two red horizontal lines. The other bisyllabic unit is that of oblique tone, indicated by two vertical blue lines. Or you begin with two oblique tones and then have two level tones. Now we have only dealt with 4 tones in a 5-character line. Then what to do with the long character? There are rules to follow. If that long character is added to the line's end, it must be a tone that contrasts with that of the preceding character. For example, here you put the long character at the end of the bisyllabic units and you attach them to the end. Then you have 2 tonal regulated lines. Oblique, oblique, level, level, oblique. Or level, level, oblique, oblique, level. If the long character is added to the line's beginning, it must be a tone identical to that of the ensuing character. So for example here, if we add the 2 long characters or the 2 long tones to the beginning of the 2 bisyllabic units, then they must be identical to the beginning tones of these 2 lines. So they merge to form 2 different kinds of regulated lines. Level, 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 oblique, oblique. And oblique, 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 level, level. So this use the 2 alternate 3-2 lines. Next, we can learn how to construct a tonal regulated couplet. Altogether, we have already learned how to construct 4 regulated lines, as shown here. Then how can we make couplets out of these 4 regulated lines? We follow the second rule, maximum contrast between 2 lines of a couplet. So the 2 alternate 2-2-2 lines must go together to form a 2-2-1 couplet, as shown here. Oblique, oblique, level, level, oblique. Then for maximum contrast, the second line must be level, level, oblique, oblique, level. And the contrasts are accentuated by the coloring. Similarly, the 2 alternate 3-2 lines must go together to form a 3-2 couplet. Here, I have added 2 red triangles to indicate the use of level tone and rhyme. Then next we question, we have got 4 regulated lines. Can we produce 4 couplets? Can we say produce a new couplet like this or like this? The answer is no. Why? This because this would violate an unviolable rule in regulated verse. That is, all the even number lines that rhyme must be in level tones. in these two couplets, we have the oblique tone in the second line. So the possibility of using these two couplets are ruled out. So this makes things simpler for us. Instead of having 4 kinds of couplets, we only have 2 kinds. Type 1 is what we can call the 2-to-1 couplets. And the type 2 is what we can call the 3-to couplets. And all regulated quatrains or regulated verse operate through an alternation of these 2 couplets. Tonal pattern 1 begins with 2-to-1 couplet. Tonal pattern 2 begins with 3-to couplet. Now, we can be a little bit more ambitious and learn how to construct an actual poetic form, that of a regulated quatrain. How do we do it? How do we move on from couplet to a quatrain? We must follow the third rule: partial equivalence between 2 adjacent couplets. The first 2 characters of a closing line of a couplet and the first 2 characters of the next couplet must employ the same tones. If a quatrain begins with a 2-to-1 couplet, then the rule of partial equivalence dictates that the next couplet must be a 3-to couplet. This is because the rule of the partial equivalence. Then you have no choice but to use a level, oblique line. You cannot use the same level, oblique level line, because that would make the tonal patterning monotonous. You do not repeat any tonally regulated line. This is what I call the partial equivalence, indicated by the yellow square. This partial equivalence locks up the 2 adjacent couplets, and for that reason, it is called nian in Chinese, meaning make 2 parts cohere. The 2 interlock couplets form the regulated quatrain tonal pattern 1. So you see, regulated quatrain tonal pattern is that easy. It's not difficult at all. Having learned how to construct tonal pattern 1, let's see how it actually works in a poem. The example chosen is Climbing the Crane Tower by Wang Zhihuan, one of the best-known pentasyllabic quatrains. For easy checking, I've marked all the characters with the same color as the tonal symbols: red for level tones and blue for oblique tones. After each line is read, we pause to check if the coloring exactly matched that of the tonal table. If it does, it conforms to the established tonal pattern. But if it does not match perfectly, it means it has used 1 or more variant tones. Now, let's begin.
登鹳雀楼，白日依山尽，黄河入海流。欲穷千里目。
Here, you see the color. Instead of the established pattern on the left, level, we have a variation. The variation, the first tone is a variant tone, and it is also an entering tone. In Cantonese and Middle Chinese, it's pronounced as yok. So we mark a variant tone with the yellow highlight.
更上一层楼。
This poem matches the tonal pattern almost perfectly, with the exception of only 1 variant tone. If a quatrain begins with 3-2 couplet, the rule of partial equivalence dictates that the next couplet must be a 2-1 couplet. And here I indicated the partial equivalent with a yellow square. And the partial equivalent is called nian in Chinese. And this partial equivalent locks up the two adjacent couplets. These two interlocked couplets form the regulated quatrain tonal pattern 2. Having constructed tonal pattern 2, let us see how it works in the poem Listening to the Zither by Li Duan. Again, after each line is read, we pause to check if its coloring exactly matched that of the tonal table.
明征金素柱，
Perfect match.
素手玉房前，
Again, perfect match.
欲得周郎顾，
Is this line a perfect match? Yes, it is. But we should pay attention to the pronunciation of the first character. In Mandarin, it is the fourth tone belongs to the oblique category. It fits the pattern. In Middle Chinese or Cantonese, it also fits the pattern, but it's pronounced as yok. It's an entering tone that ends with a K.
时时勿拂闲，
Then you can see another example of a poem that follows the tonal pattern, closely follows the tonal pattern, and actually with no variant tones at all in this piece. The last but one character in the last line, again, is an entering tone, pronounced as fat. Now, I think we can afford to be even a little bit more ambitious and learn the two variant tonal patterns. Tonal pattern 1A and the tonal pattern 2A. A variant tonal pattern is the one that employs rhyme in the first line. In other words, the first couplet must be made up of two lines that ends with a level tone. So we have a combination of oblique, oblique, level, 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 oblique, oblique, level, or a different configuration. Please pay attention to the fact in regulated quatrain and also regulated verse, 律诗, it is only the first couplet you can find imperfect alignment of tones. So, in other words, in the first couplet of the two variant types, the first two lines do not follow the second rule, the maximum contrast within a couplet. Here, the yellow highlighted part indicates a variant line. It's a variant line in tonal pattern 1. This tonal pattern is called the tonal pattern 1A because it is only a slight variant of the tonal pattern to the right. All the other lines are exactly the same. And here we have the tonal pattern 2A. Again, you can see if you compare this tonal pattern with the regular tonal pattern 2, you can tell only the first line differs. So the yellow highlighted part is the variant line in tonal pattern 2A. Having constructed tonal pattern 2A, let us see how it works in the poem written by a cloister lady for the loved one on the frontiers by Wang Ya. After each line is read, we pause to check if its coloring exactly matched that of the tonal table.
花明启末春，
A perfect match.
柳拂玉钩心，
Again, a perfect match, But this word is pronounced as entering tone in Middle Chinese, 粉.
为报辽阳客，
流芳不待人。
Perfect match. Some of you may say, wait a minute, how can you call it perfect match? 不 is pronounced 吧. It's the entering tone that ends with unaspirated T. So that fits the pattern perfect. So this last line is a perfect match. Now, exercise time. Let us turn our passive knowledge of tonal patterning into an active mastery of it 3-4 exercises. The first exercise is to construct tonal pattern 1 for quatrains. Please take out a piece of paper and copy this first 2-1 line and then complete the entire pattern. Bravo! You have now conquered tonal pattern 1. Now the second exercise on constructing tonal pattern 1A. This is very easy. Just cross out the first line of the tonal pattern you have just written out and put in the other line that ends with a level tone, namely this 3-2 line, oblique, 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 level, level. Now let's do the third exercise and construct tonal pattern 2. Tonal pattern 2 begins with this 3-2 line. Marvelous! You have now conquered tonal pattern 2. Now the fourth exercise on constructing tonal pattern 2A. Again, this is very easy. Just cross out the first line of the tonal pattern you have just written out and put in the other line that ends with a level tone, namely this 2-1 line. Level, level, oblique, oblique, level. And you have tonal pattern 2A. Congratulations! You have conquered all the tonal patterns for regulated quatrains. This is the end of episode 37. In the next episode, we will learn how to construct the longer regulated verse, or 律诗, in both pentasyllabic and heptasyllabic forms. Let's meet next Tuesday on YouTube and Bilibili.